All right, let's do it live on a Halloween Tuesday edition of the program. Merely Bo, the Great Z. It's an NFL trade deadline Halloween Tuesday edition of the program.
Yeah.
How you living?
Terrible. Jimmy Garoppolo made me want to claw my eyes out last night.
I couldn't watch. I can't watch any more bad ball. I've seen enough bad ball.
The Lions are fun. I like the Lions.
They're fine. They are, yeah. But I just see too much the NFL right now, this last couple of weeks, and we had somebody on, I asked about it a couple of weeks ago, and I said, it just feels like it's a lot of bad ball. And they said, well, it would have felt like this a year ago. But, I mean, this is now like a month of bad ball. There's not that many teams out there. Even the best teams in the league, whether it's Philly hasn't even been like – they're 7-1 because they're so damn talented, but they haven't had like their like – watch this. Miami's had their watch this. Buffalo's had a watch this. Kansas City sort of has, but they laid an egg as big as you can lay on Sunday. It's just week to week, there's not a lot of great ball being played out there.
I think there's compelling ball, though. I mean, I think it's hard to play
compelling's
great
different
ball.
than great. Yeah. Usually there's a couple of great teams. And I think for me, some of
to
this
me,
stuff is hard on
blowouts
compelling.
would be boring.
I'm not talking about blowouts. I'm talking about competitive games where two teams are competent. There's not a lot of that.
The Washington-Philly game this week I thought was pretty good. It's a good back and forth, very competitive.
But is that a Philly team playing to its level?
I don't know. A.J. Brown was doing pretty outrageous things, 6 straight games of 125 yards.
He's very good, but they don't – like Hurts feels like he's a little hurt all the
He
time.
is hurt.
So they're dealing with that. They're just – it's not a lot of – you go ahead. You can canvas for the NFL. You can canvas for the greatness of it.
I love the NFL.
And the greatness?
I love the football league, the Shield. Beautiful. But Jimmy Garoppolo.
By the way, number one rated show all last weekend was Up Against Us. Bengals and Niners was number one show on all of television last weekend.
Yeah.
28 million. 28 million on
was that on? Who was that on? Who carried that?
CBS.
CBS got that?
Yep.
And Fox supposedly had their biggest single header in whatever the heck that means. I don't know how you can have a single header.
28 million watched that one. That was number one.
Because it's a big deal. The National Football League.
Well, we like to gamble, and we like to play fantasy. Football's good for those things.
It's great for them. Nothing's better. But so you didn't watch any of the game?
No, I watched it. I had it on, but then I got to a point where it was incompetent from the Raiders, and I'm like, I'm not going to watch a team have 140 yards of total offense and not hit the broadside of a barn with open throws. And
I mean, Devontae Adams should have had a 98-yard touchdown. He should have had a 60-yard touchdown.
I just didn't want to keep
We got
watching.
hosed on the
enough.
scores. We had literally diagnosed it perfectly.
Yeah.
Down 12. He's going to throw a touchdown to Devontae Adams, who couldn't have been more wide open.
Could not have been.
And missed him by 30 yards. Twice.
The one where he's running down the left side, just
there were two of them.
Completely uncovered.
Yes. Totally uncovered. Unchecked.
He
needs to get out of there.
That whole situation. Well, you've got 3 hours.
Get him out of there.
Yeah.
Free Devontae.
You got 3 hours to get him out.
Get him out.
You can't. Yeah, no, they look like they're miserable humans. They just can't stand playing for McDaniels, clearly.
They can't stand him. It's pretty obvious to me Devontae Adams has had it with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
That was pretty apparent last night as well. Lions love the helmets. Put it over white, as you said, or white over blue would be fine too. But
they had two choices on that.
Not all gray.
Yeah, they had two choices on that. The lids are clean. It's a clean look.
Great
the
lid.
Honolulu blue is beautiful, but it had to be white over white, or it had to be white blue. Like you could even talk me into like blue over white, or maybe even blue over silver. But the blue over the all gray was a total fail. And the idea, and then the Raiders in white over gray, it just looked awful.
The gray's it's such a dull gray.
Yeah, like if you think back of the Barry Sanders era ones, I mean it was a bright silver. And this is just kind of blah.
Yeah.
Not good.
No.
But they're good. And by the way, we all mocked, not as much as we mocked the Bijan thing for Atlanta, but like we mocked that draft of Gibbs and Laporta and Campbell. They're all dudes.
Laporta. Campbell, what's Campbell doing?
They're all dudes. He starts almost every game, plays the whole time. Gibbs had 156 yards last night as a running back. They got 3 guys. They got 3 starters in their draft. I mean, the first 3 picks, it's all kind of worked.
I don't think that Campbell guy's any good.
I don't know if he is or not, but I mean, he plays all the time.
No, Laporta's good, and they got him in second round. That's a great pick. Laporta's been on it from day one. You were all over that too when you're some of the guys that you talked to in DLD.
That's
right.
Telling you. I think it was that Risden guy I talked to about that.
I mean,
I think he gave me the heads up on it.
In 8 games, he's got 34 tackles and a sack.
He starts.
He started 4 out of 8 games.
I think he's been though the last month. That's when it's been.
Is when
elevated.
he's become
When
a
he's
starter.
become elevated. Yeah.
All right.
Either way, they're winning, and they got some dudes, and they're a fun team to watch.
They are a fun team to watch.
Yeah,
I enjoy them, and they got smoked by the Ravens. That's the thing. When you've had some of these marquee games, you haven't necessarily got a competitive football game, which is what I think has been. That's what we've been lacking. Is Niners Bengals was not as competitive as you would have hoped, and certainly from our standpoint, didn't go the way you would have wanted. Ravens Lions was not competitive at all.
Yeah, the primetime games have been largely bad. I think if you go, I just think consistently week in and week out, you don't have consistently good play really from anybody.
Yeah, because I think quarterbacks, there's a crisis at the quarterback position.
There's 100% a crisis at the quarterback position. There's a lot of them that have gotten hurt. We're down, how many starters are we down from? I mean, and Rodgers and Cousins are in the top half. Rodgers, certainly both those guys were top half of the NFL guys, and they're both gone.
All right, so if you were to look at it,
our guy hasn't played in a month.
AFC East, Tua's played the whole way. You've had the whole way of Allen. Jets, nope. Patriots, I mean, Mac Jones is terrible. So
Yep.
There's 2 good quarterbacks in the AFC East, so 2 for 4. Lamar, yes. Pickett, Our guy, and Pickett's out now, so and then Burrow's played the whole time and is finally himself. So again, 2 out of 4.
But he
there.
also went. But even Burrow, if you want to go 2 out of 4, he was bad for the first
Early.
4 weeks.
Yeah.
It really wasn't until right before the
Arizona.
bye, Arizona, and then he was decent against Seattle. Then obviously he's back now. But I mean, you haven't gotten the full complement of him at
No.
all.
Trevor Lawrence,
He's been pretty good.
C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
Nobody
No.
with the Titans. Nobody with the Colts because they lost Richardson.
Yep.
Mahomes went the whole way. Herbert. Yep. And Russell Wilson's actually playing pretty well.
He's got good stats.
So-
I think he's like 16-4 touchdown
Yeah.
interception.
Yeah, 100-plus rating. So 3 out of the 4 there. So you got 3, 2, 2, 2 in the AFC. In the NFC, Hurts, yeah. Dak, yeah. Commanders, I mean, I'm not ready to say Sam Howell's a yeah. Giants have had an injury. Goff, yes. Cousins is now out. Packers, no. Bears,
No.
injury and no. So that's 3 so far. NFC South, Falcons, no. Saints, no. Buccaneers, no. Panthers, no. I mean, I don't know. Are they happy with Bryce? Maybe
Hard to
just
say.
won a game.
They have no roster around him at all.
Geno Smith counts as a yeah. Purdy, I think, counts as a yeah. Stafford,
Yeah.
yeah, but
If the others
he's
do,
hurt.
then he does.
He's
yeah.
hurt again.
Yeah.
So-
Arizona, no.
Arizona, no. So, I mean, yeah, less than half the league has
You
had
got like 10
anything.
good quarterback situations in the whole league
Yeah.
through the first half. That's probably where it hits.
Yeah.
That's your issue. Why maybe I view it as we're not getting a lot of great ball.
Well, yeah, and I think some of the teams that you thought were supposed to be marquee, for example, the Jets were supposed to be a marquee team and good ball and must-see TV, and they are
Yeah.
dreadful to watch. The Vikings are going to go from being a super fun team to watch to being dreadful to watch without Kirk Cousins.
They got to get Winston today.
They got to do something.
They can go one of two ways. They can either go that way and try to piecemeal it and say, look, we're in the NFC, and Philly's really good. Dallas is pretty good. Detroit's pretty good. San Francisco, I still think, is pretty good. But we can make the playoffs pretty straightforward in the NFC at 4-4 if we get competent quarterback play at all.
Yep.
Competent, explosive quarterback play at all. Or they could do the other thing, and they could say, hey, we lost our quarterback. It's time to sell off some pieces. Daniil Hunter, and they could go the other way with it.
They
Because
could.
Jefferson's on IR as it stands. He's there for 2 more weeks.
I think if you have Jefferson and Addison, you need to get them somebody that can actually get them the ball.
It's got to be Winston. Him or Tannehill. Jacoby, I guess, could be dealt today too, though. So who knows? But I mean, those feel like you got to do something for him, for those guys. 'Cause they could be a playoff team.
Oh, yeah. But the question is that Kwesi has to ask himself, and Kevin O'Connell is, do we want to be a playoff team at the expense of our long-term future?
The question you have to ask is,
Because you're not going to win the Super Bowl. Is the
course
goal to
not.
make the playoffs or is the goal to win the Super Bowl?
I think that's different for each fan base, right?
Uh-huh.
Like if you're a fan base who hasn't had a whole lot of success and you're starved to make like for the example, like let's say the Lions and the Vikings situations were inverted and it was Goff who was down. It would mean everything to the Lions organization to make a playoff berth, to win a playoff, to
Yes.
get to a playoff game. It means everything. Well, Minnesota's had a ton of success. Their fan base had a ton of success. Like they could go the other way with it, and they could trade off parts and they could try to pick at the top of the draft, and their fan base would probably say, "Hey, yeah, so sign us up for that. We'll
Hey,
take
we
that."
went to the playoffs last year.
Yeah, it's fine. So we're fine. We'll take that as the trade-off. So I think that question is one that many teams will try to answer over the next 3 hours. Is if you could make a big deal, what are you going to get? What is the big deal going to net you at the highest level?
Yeah.
If everything goes well, what's the best it can do for you?
Yeah.
And Minnesota, it feels like, talking to people this morning even, it feels like Minnesota's kind of could be the fulcrum for this thing in where kind of it all goes. We already had one deal. We had the Martez Sweat deal to Chicago. This is crazy. I don't know what the hell the Bears are doing. They gave up a second-round pick again. They just do not value second-round picks in any way. They gave a second-round – they are 2-6 football team. They cannot get after the passer, but he's not exactly a get-off-the-passer guy anyway. He's kind of like a Clowney type guy.
Who, Montez? No, he's a pass rusher.
I mean, this year he hasn't been. It's mostly been he's pressure. He's good against the run. Like, they could have acquired him in the free agency this year.
Well, that's
if
the
they
thing.
wanted to. So why give up a second-round pick for a 2-6 team?
This way, they're giving up a second-round pick to guarantee that they get him is really the only thing that makes any sense. I mean, Montez Sweat is a guy that was coveted around the league, hence obviously the compensation there. I'm surprised that they were able to – that they would do that now. And I think they look at it as a piece of their rebuild, right? I think they look at it as, all right, now we've got a quality edge rusher. And you could have drafted one in the second round, I suppose, certainly for cheaper, but obviously that was not the direction that they wanted to go. This will age better for them than the Claypool deal, so that you have that at least working for them.
Yeah.
But a lot of people supposedly Montez Sweat was a hot commodity. If you listen,
he
to
must
the
have been
people.
on a second round pick. He would have had to have been.
So
he
he
does
are-
have 6.5 sacks on the season.
Yeah, he's got
so he's off to a good start.
6.5 sacks this year. He had 8 last year. He had 9 in 2020. Yeah, he is a good pass rusher. He can get to the quarterback. He's got 2 forced fumbles, 6.5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss already. Yeah, he's having a very good year, and I think that's what they're looking like. We can get ourselves a premier edge player and go with it, and that's what they're doing. I'm surprised though that Washington knows they couldn't sign him, and I think their thinking is, we weren't going to sign him, so that means the best we could do is a compensatory third at the end of the year.
Yeah.
So this way we get a second. And by the way, it looks like it's going to be a pretty good second.
Yeah, because he's not going to. The Bears are going to be bad.
Yeah, the Bears.
So the Bears have their pick, and then they have.
The shoes. Look at his shoes. Get some dunks.
Yeah, they did. I don't know that he wanted to be noticed with that though. Did we get a thumbs up on that on the shoes? Did we? Okay,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell because there's glare. I couldn't tell if we got a thumbs up on that or not. So yeah, trade deadline is today at 4:00. Oddly, the Cardinals announced that they're going to start Clayton Tune or Kyler Murray Sunday against the Browns, despite previous reports that Dobbs would start.
So, and it makes you think that maybe Dobbs is going somewhere. But both Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport reported yesterday, after the announcement that Dobbs was not going to be the quarterback, that it will be Clayton Tune and not Kyler Murray. And the reason they said, well, barring a big change in the plans, they will likely start quarterback Clayton Tune this week before the Kyler Murray experience begins. And I think part of that is because your first game back, do you want to go on the road in not great weather with Kyler Murray against our defense?
No.
Or would you like to have him start at home against Atlanta the following week? And my
Much
guess
more
is
hospitable.
that. Much more hospitable.
So Clayton Tune out of Houston, I believe.
Yeah.
Houston Cougars.
5th round pick this year, I want to say.
Yeah. So he's gonna. I wonder what the reason for that change was. Why not just have Dobbs roll out there again?
So I read something from somebody there that they feel like Clayton Tune's athleticism, again, and I have no idea if this is true or not, but that they can basically put in their Kyler Murray offense this week.
Oh, I see. So
he can run it,
that.
and then Kyler can get a bunch of reps in it this week, and then they're kind of making the transition. So Tune makes it easier for them to do that than Dobbs.
So then Dobbs, what you wonder, like, is he long for Arizona? So like,
I would think not.
Wouldn't seem so. So in terms of quarterbacks who could be on the market, Dobbs, Brissett, guys, we had both those guys last year, I suppose. They're terrible. Tannehill, I saw Vrabel talk about that yesterday, saying that they haven't received anything, but they're listening on that front. So Tannehill could be out there, and then Winston, I would.
And he made it sound like Tannehill would start if he could play.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about how he didn't like the Levis pick, and was kind of like,
Well, does he like it now?
I would think 4 touchdowns feels like it works, but I don't know.
Threw the ball down the field for the first time all year. He made some great throws. I thought Levis was very impressive.
Yeah,
Did you see PFT commenter's idea
I did not.
that the next Titans-Texans game should be for those uniforms?
Yeah. So did you see what else they did? So the University of Houston
Yeah, it's
put out a light blue and red uniform, and the NFL is suing the university for infringement of copyright. So I guess what I don't understand is the NFL and the Houston Titan or the Tennessee Titans own the shade light blue.
I don't see how they could.
How could you own a color?
How could you own a comment?
It's not the same color as the one the Oilers wore.
And it's
slightly
white and
darker,
red.
and their colors are white and red. And they just put Houston on a helmet. Like, really?
Why get into that?
Why? I don't understand. You know what, Tennessee? If you like the damn uniforms so much,
Wear them all the time.
wear them all the time. You can even go with that color scheme. Dude, the last time they changed their uniforms, they got rid of white helmets. They did have a light blue jersey, you will recall. When McNair and Eddie were there, they had a light blue jersey with a white helmet. Just wear those and put a T on the helmet.
How about this? Why not just be the Tennessee Oilers?
Well, that's another one. I don't have any idea why they didn't do that. If they love it so much, then just be it.
How come in other sports
make
they
it
just
so.
did that? The L.A. Lakers, the Utah Jazz. They just said,
Well,
well, we're the Jazz, so we're just going to
Yeah.
stay the Jazz. Why don't we just
In the old days, they
stay the
never-
Oilers and keep them? And then fine.
In the old days, they didn't rename, but in the last round of them, they did, with the exception of the Memphis Grizzlies, who makes no sense because you cannot have Grizzlies in Tennessee.
No. But that's okay.
But even it's fine.
Maybe it's just the association.
Seattle
they don't do it.
Supersonics became the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Sure.
So they swapped that out.
Because
the
doesn't
Hornets
Seattle
got their name
still
back.
own that?
Well, they learned from us.
Yeah.
So they kept the history, all of it.
Yeah.
And that was part of the NBA's deal. They learned from here, and they kept that all in Seattle. And there will be an expansion team in Seattle and LA in the NBA in the next few years. But so then I'm trying to think who else would have been relocated. Most of it's been NBA
Yeah.
because the Hornets went to New Orleans
Well, the Rams stayed the Rams, I guess. Or
all the way
all
around. They've been that
Cardinals
goes all the
as
way
well.
back to St. Louis. Was it?
Yeah.
Were they the Chicago Rams? What did the Rams? Oh, they started here. Did the Rams start here? Yeah,
There
I
were
think that's
Cleveland
right. I
Rams.
think they were the
Yeah.
Cleveland Rams to St. Louis Rams to L.A. Rams to St. Louis back to L.A.
And
No. It was the St. Louis Cardinals. Now I've gone cross-eyed. I feel like the Pepe
St. Louis
Silvia
Cardinals are the Arizona Cardinals.
Correct, but they were not. They went from here to L.A. The Rams went from here to L.A., then to St. Louis, then back to L.A.
Okay.
So they didn't stop in St. Louis first. But yeah, to me, just if you love them, wear them. If not, give them to
'em
Houston
back.
so that they can wear them. And if it's out of spite because your dad didn't get a stadium built, I guess they built a spite franchise is what they did, and they're holding them hostage.
It's like Latte Larry's.
It is. It absolutely is. A little bit like that. So we'll see what happens here over the course of the next, what do we know, about 3 hours worth, and perhaps we could see some things. Kenyon Drake is tweeting pictures of Pumpkinhead on his Twitter, I'm told.
We had a workout with him last week. My guess is that would be a practice squad signing.
Yeah.
That perhaps they think that he can, give him a little something in the practice squad. I don't know.
What do you think the mindset is today for Andrew Berry?
By the way, Clayton Tune, and I'll answer that question in a second. Clayton Tune was pick number 139 in this draft.
Okay.
Pick number 140 was DTR.
Yeah.
What I think his mindset is, I think that if he can make a trade for a receiver or an edge player that can be not only a part of our program this year, but a part of our program next year, then I think that he would be interested in that at the right price. I think that it is very difficult to contemplate going all in on just this season alone when you don't know what the status of your quarterback is. And I'll go back to it. I've said it. I'll say it again. The Browns' ultimate success this season, and it is the ultimate team game, that is true, but the Browns' success this season rides on Deshaun Watson's ability to come back and play good football.
That's it.
Period. Full stop.
That's it. Yep.
That's going to determine what this season is. There's no quarterback out there that you trade for that you think has any impact on your ability to win a Super Bowl. Deshaun Watson, if the Browns are going to win a Super Bowl, it's going to be Deshaun Watson playing at quarterback. And that's just the reality of the situation. So we don't know what's going to happen this week. I've said it, and I will say it again. I think it's very important that he gets his feet wet this week before we go to Baltimore. Now, if it's physically possible, if that is physically impossible, then it just is what it is. But if it is physically possible for him to go out there and play this week, I think it's very important. Take on an Arizona team that's given up 70% completions, given up 100 quarterback rating, a team that you should
starting a rookie.
If they start Clayton Tune, we should shut them out. I mean, this should be a shutout. That should be the goal in this game.
Yep.
They should not get double-digit points. Like we should not have to do a whole lot on offense to win, but I think it'd be a great tune-up for him because then it's going to get real hard at Baltimore, home Pittsburgh, and those are huge, huge games. I think of course it can be done, but to go into Baltimore not having played since the Tennessee game, really, I think would be a very daunting task.
No kidding. Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. And the only one who's going to know is him. He's the one who controls it as the week goes along, and so that's the thing that you have to do today. Is there has to be, it's interesting because he talked last week and he talked about how it could be this week, it could be next, it might not be, it might be then, and it's like the only barometer of that is you,
right?
Because there's no other way to examine or to. There's nothing. So it's just, are you comfortable in playing? And until that answer is yes, then you're kind of just treading water,
right? And so what is it that will make you feel like you are comfortable playing? Is it something with velocity? Is it something with pain? Is it something with your ability as you feel like to drive the football? Those are the questions that need to be answered for us to have any type of clarity on the situation. I also think with the benefit of this week, do you consider going with DTR, giving him a full week of practice and playing DTR? Because this is a guy who at least completed 69% of his passes in college. Like, we're going at sub 50% right now.
Yeah.
The turnovers, as we've talked about, have been, crippling to this team. And now, yet, we've still won 2 of these 3 games with PJ. But, I would think DTR can give you at least what PJ's given you. And then the questions becomes, can he give you maybe a little more than that in terms of being able to see things and deliver the football accurately? Because, you look at our games right now. So P.J. Walker turned it over 3 times last week, 2 times against Indy, 2 times against the Niners. So that's 6 turnovers, right? 3, 2, 2, 7. 7 giveaways in 3 games.
Can't have it.
And I know DTR turned it over 3 times against Baltimore.
He got an hour and a half head start. I don't know why that's being held against him.
I don't think it should be.
I don't think it should be.
I think those were impossible circumstances.
Yeah.
Against what's turned out to be a top 3 defense.
A really good team, and you have an hour and a half. Oh, yeah, you're starting. That's tough.
And the difference is that whole game plan that was put in was not a game plan that was for him. So he got reps in practice, but everything that was in was for Deshaun because prior to that moment, now, of course, you make changes on the fly, but that's a very, very difficult situation. And when you're trying to match wits with the quarterback of the defense, and that quarterback of the defense happens to be Roquan Smith in your first start, that's going to affect you. Mm-hmm. And you're not going to run into that with this Arizona Cardinals defense. You can be just fine against this team. So I wonder if that's something that they're contemplating. I think PJ is a gamer. I thought we saw from kind of the second quarter through the end of the third quarter the best football that he's played, and that was tantalizing. But at the end of the day, he ends up 15 of 31. Yeah. We're on the season with him right now, 49.5% completions, 618 yards, 1 touchdown, 5 picks, 2 lost fumbles, and a quarterback rating of 51.8. I mean, I know DTR hasn't played well, and he did get 1 rep. He completed a pass for 9 yards on a shovel pass to David Njoku last week. I just wonder if this week you say, all right, we're going to go pick 139 against pick 140, and let's see what happens.
Yeah. I'm with you.
And it's not a knock on PJ. I think PJ, he's been a gamer. He's made some big plays when we needed him to make big plays. I think that we know what we're currently doing is not sustainable, and the question becomes, do you believe that that can change with the same quarterback, or do you think that necessitates giving somebody else a chance?
If any game,
and really, hopefully it's Deshaun.
And if anyone has a soft landing spot, it's Arizona. Like, if you know, so yeah, I'm with you.
That's why I want Deshaun. I think ultimately the best thing for the Browns is if Deshaun Watson feels that he is close enough or able to go, that he plays this week has some success, probably get some confidence in his body and in his arm and in this and what we're doing before you go into Baltimore. Except you're 5-3 going in there. That's a big game.
Yeah, it's a huge game.
That's a big game because you don't want to get swept in the
They're
season
off
series.
this week.
No,
Baltimore?
they have.
No, they have
Seattle at
They
home.
have Seattle at home. That's right. They have because we inverted.
Yep.
They had Arizona last week. They have Seattle at home. Those are the hot topics today, presented by Vivid Seats, official fan experience partner of your Cleveland Browns. Head to Vivid Seats to purchase the brand new Premium Terrace experience. Your ticket comes with a pregame field pass, parking, all-inclusive food and beverage, and a $50 Brown Shop gift card. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, official fan experience partner of your Cleveland Browns. We're off and running Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland. Be part of one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. Join Next Gen STM, presented by Ticketmaster, official waitlist of the Cleveland Browns. Being a Next Gen STM is the best chance to secure your tickets for all home games in future seasons. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/waitlist to reserve your spot today. Time for a little after further review.
Oh, baby.
Boy, that was nice how that timed out, right? You get that right into there?
Yeah.
That worked out very, very well. All right, Dr. Z, after further review, what stood out offensively?
All right. Couple things stood out. We're going to give them to you right now. Thing number one, the Browns' first scoring drive was an absolute masterpiece. of play calling. Started off with the screen to the right to Kareem Hunt for 12 yards.
Yeah.
Then he had the throw-out screen to Pierre Strong for 40. And then the fake screen left, fake screen right. Chief leak, takes a huge hit. P.J. Walker stands in the pocket, delivers the football. It was the exact same play the Niners had run there. I thought that was incredible. I just thought that was, when you think about dialing something up against an opponent and going 3 plays the length of the field with all screen, fake screen, I thought that was just wild to watch.
Manufacturing
Yes.
space and offense. It's being manufactured without a lot of people.
Yep. No, without a lot of people, it's really been something. Thing number 2 for me is I think Pierre Strong is a thing. I like Pierre Strong. I like his acceleration. I think it jumps off the page when you watch him. He's averaging 4.6 yards per carry this year, which, other than Nick Chubb, is the most for any running back on our team. You look at him after contact, he's averaging 3.58 yards after contact per run. That's really good. The only person who did better than that, again, at running back this year, Nick Chubb, who was at 4.0. So I think Pierre Strong is showing things that lead me to believe this guy has a chance to be a very, very good and important player for us down the stretch. So
He's
that
got a
being
gear.
my number 2.
He's got a gear as soon as he gets the ball that's a little different.
He's like, this is what he reminds me of. He reminds me of a Tesla in that when he puts it down, it's instant. He doesn't have to go through gears. It's just like
boom,
full.
Yeah, I don't know what the high
full
end
go.
is like, but I know from here to here is really fast.
So he ran the fastest. He was the fastest running back at the 2022 Combine, 4.3740. So
Okay.
I think
That's wheeling.
I think he's got some juice, and for his career, he's averaging well over 6 yards a carry. Now that was buttressed by the fact that his first 10 carries went for 100 yards, and I think including a touchdown maybe even against the Arizona Cardinals in his rookie season as a member of the Patriots. But he is I'm excited about him. I think that he really does have a chance to be something here for the Browns as a compliment to what you're getting out of Kareem Hunt as well as what you're getting out of,
Jerome Ford.
Yeah. Thank you.
South Dakota State Jackrabbit, Pierre Strong.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, they're number 1 team in 1AA right now.
Really?
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a good job. All right, what else? You have one more?
Yeah, his touchdown, by the way, last year did come against Arizona. 5 carries, 70 yards, and a house call in that one. His first NFL touchdown before he scored again this year, week 2 against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
You think about how hard it is to be noticed and be given chances starting at a place like the South Dakota State thing, like how hard that is to overcome all of it.
Yeah.
God bless.
I'm
God
shocked
bless.
that the Patriots felt like they couldn't find a role for him.
That they acquired Ezekiel Elliott as opposed to just keeping him.
Yeah, as a compliment to Ramondre. Now, they probably maybe it was a case of they coveted Tyrone Wheatley Jr. that much. Then we said, well, you're only getting him if you give us Pierre Strong. But it felt like from reports that he wasn't going to make their 53 anyway. I like him a lot. I like that juice. I like that acceleration. All right. After further review. David Njoku's having a great season.
Yes, he is.
Despite the fact that it hasn't necessarily manifested itself like it has for some of the other what I would call premier tight ends in the season. And it is not for a lack of trying, certainly on the Chiefs' part. I think that he's played very, very well. 39 targets, 28 catches, 293 yards. He got his first touchdown last week. He's catching over 70% of the passes that are thrown his way. He's doing that for the second straight season. He's averaging, between 7.5 and 8 yards per target this year. And here's the thing. He has gotten the majority of his yards himself. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that we said he has 293 yards. Of the 293 yards that he has so far this year, 243 of them have come after the catch. 243 of them have come after the catch. Do you know what the average depth of target for David Njoku is this year?
Can't be much.
3.7 yards.
Yes, that's what it feels like.
3.7 yards. It's been a lot of screens. That he's obviously been very good at, but I want to see David Njoku get involved as a player not only in the short area, but down the field. Bo, question.
All right.
How many passes of his 39 targets,
Okay, 39. Yep.
do you think went more than 10 yards in the air?
10.
5.
Yeesh.
5. This is a guy who can run corner routes. This guy can run seams.
We thought he'd be in the seam on
he
a deep
can.
threat.
We saw it in the preseason.
That's brutal, man. That's
20,
brutal.
27 of his 28 catches have come within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. 9 of them have been behind the line of scrimmage or at the line of scrimmage. 18 of them have been between 0 and 10 yards.
That's brutal.
By the way, when you target David Njoku, for the most part, good things happen. And I want to see him be utilized in more areas than just a short area. I love what he's able to do after the catch. I like the idea of getting him in space.
You have some breaking news, Gibby?
I do.
Go.
Vikings trading for Josh Dobbs from the Arizona Cardinals.
There you go. Once he was benched, you felt like he was on the move.
Had to be, yeah.
Familiarity there with, the guys who are the Browns north. They are north of here, aren't they, geographically speaking?
Yeah.
Yeah, a little northwest.
Mm-hmm.
So there it is. Josh Dobbs will go, and that's it. That's interesting to me.
I agree.
I think if you're going to make a move with your receivers, like I'd want somebody who can sling it like Jameis. And now maybe
too.
Jameis isn't available, but
My only job would be making sure that Justin Jefferson is happy.
And Addison.
But Addison's can't go anywhere.
And
He's in year
Hockenson.
one. But, I would want Jefferson especially, Hawkinson absolutely. Jameis will stat them up.
yes,
He would have statted them up. And
Yes.
Josh Dobbs is not going to stat them up.
He is not. Anyway, point 3 being David Njoku is having a very good year. We need to find ways to get him the football down the field. Now, I caveat all of this, and which my next point is going to be, I'm going to get to it again, is that with what we've had to go through at quarterback, our receivers are not being properly targeted in many cases. They are not properly being thrown to where they can run after the catch. It's amazing. So I told you those run after the catch stats. On the flip side of that are things that are maybe not as good, right? And so what I mean by that is you've got David Njoku with 243 of his 293 yards after the catch. This is the one to me that's wild. Elijah Moore's got 100 yards after the catch. Amari Cooper's got 83 yards after the catch. They're averaging 2.8 and 3.8. Amari 2.8, Elijah 3.8 yards after the catch, respectively. You've got to, number one, get the ball down the field. And really, the only person that you are doing that to, average depth of target for Amari Cooper is 14.7. For Chief, I said it's 3.7 yards. Elijah, 9.4. DPJ, 11.9. He's just not getting any opportunities really in the games. We're not pushing the ball to anybody. And I think that's part of, the limitations we're dealing with at the quarterback position. And then my fourth thing is guys like DPJ, guys like Elijah Moore, when you watch the tape of this game especially, they were open a lot and in critical situations. And in fact, Elijah Moore should have had at least one, if not two, walk-in touchdowns in that game. We've got to be able to deliver the football to people who, in a busted coverage, run free right over the middle of the field.
Your job as a backup quarterback is that the layups are layups. You don't need to make the big dynamic plays. You don't need to hit it to Chief down the seam. That's nice, but it's not required.
Yes.
The layups have to be layups, and that is what makes a successful quarterback. All right, let's go to the defensive side. A successful backup, rather.
All right, so this is something that stuck out on tape. This was an odd game in terms of the fact that the Browns were able to generate a lot of pressure on Geno Smith, but they weren't able to get them down. And I think the next step, and especially for a guy like Zadarius Smith and Obo Okoronkwo in this game had 11 combined pressures that resulted in no sacks.
Yep.
And I think for Zadarius, what he's done to this team has been so very valuable. He just hasn't finished it. Here's what's wild. Myles Garrett has 36 pressures this season. Mm-hmm. He has 8.5 sacks. So he's averaging basically a sack for every 4 pressures.
Right.
Four-ish pressures. Yeah.
Four-ish pressures. Za'Darius has 25 pressures. 25. And has 1 sack.
Yeah.
They both have the same number of quarterback hits, too, according to PFF. Now, if you go to the quarterback hits that add the non-sack quarterback hits. So that puts Miles at 16 for Za'Darius, or 16, 17, depending on if you use next-gen stats, you use Pro Football Focus, and it's half of that for Za'Darius. So he has been very effective. He just hasn't been able to finish some of these plays. I think that is coming. That's thing number 1. After further review, number 2.
After review.
MJ Emerson continues to his ascent into the elite, in my opinion. And the final stats they tell you: targeted 11 times, gave up 5 catches in this one, a quarterback rating of 27 when targeted. You'll love that.
Yep.
But I want to go back to a 3-play sequence on the last drive of the first half. 3 plays prior to his interception, they ran a speed out with DK Metcalf, and he was open by a good 5 yards, and that was one where Geno Smith just missed him, kind of threw it in the ground.
Yep.
3 plays later, they went back to the well, and MJ recognized it, undercut it, and picked the ball off. And I thought that was awesome. That is just great recognition and great ability to then come back and deal with it and make a play for the defense. So I was very pleased with that with MJ Emerson.
Number 2? Number 3?
Number 3.
Yep.
After review.
Maurice Hurst has been
What a play. He's been unbelievable all year.
unbelievable. The interception, we talked about it yesterday, getting the paw up, all of that. What he's been able to do in the run game as well has been nothing short of sensational. His grade at Pro Football Focus this week was 92.4, one of the highest rates in the league. He got a pressure. He had run stops. He had tackles for loss. He's been all over the field, and he has been playing at a very, very high level for this Browns team. And you look at pressures on the season, he's number 5 on our team in quarterback pressures. Miles 1, Za'Darius 2, Obo 3, Dalvin 4, Maurice Hurst 5. And he's been very good in terms of making run stops at the line of scrimmage. He's been very good at making run stops behind the line of scrimmage. Maurice Hurst has been a real bright spot for the Cleveland Browns. And in fact, again, these are just PFF grades, but he would be the number 2 player on our defense this year in terms of their grading behind Myles Garrett.
Jeez. That's wild.
All right, 4th and final.
After review.
One of the things that the Browns need to work on as a defense, and one of the areas that they got hurt a little bit in this game, would be some of the screen games and the ability to turn short passes into longer gains. And I think that was a big problem for the Browns in this one, in the sense that on shortish passes, they were giving up too much to this Seattle Seahawks team. You know, Tyler Lockett comes to mind on a couple of those short ones. You think of Jackson Smith and Jigba and his ability after the catch to go. He had 38 yards of yak on 36 yards of receptions.
Yep.
So do the math. Those short wide receiver screens, he was able to get a touchdown on one of them. He was able to get 22 yards on another of yak. Those things have to be cleaned up by the Cleveland Browns. And I'd even go to, that comes part of the tackling at the end of the game. You know, Noah Fant goes 27 yards on a 4-yard completion.
Yeah.
23 of them after the catch. He had 32 yards receiving, 27 on yak. We have to limit the yak. When we went through our numbers of yak, number 2 on our team's 100 yards for the season.
Yeah.
30 yards a game is not a lot. And that's what Jackson Smith-Njigba did in one game. If he done over the course of 7, I'm not a math major, it's 210 yards. Mm-hmm. That's double what we're getting from our number 2 guy. So there's a yak problem on both sides of the ball. 1, in us allowing it, and 2, in our offense's inability to generate that yak.
Good job out of you.
That's after further review.
Very good job. All right, one thought coming up. We'll also go into some of the catch up on everything that's going on around the league. Jake Trotter at the top of the hour. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And Bo here for my team at Renew Home Exteriors. They're introducing new Ascend composite clad siding featuring a beautiful deep green look. 20 available colors on that. Keep that just installed look for a lifetime, my friends. Low maintenance siding option. Plus, with Renew's price match guarantee, you can be assured you receive the best price for your exterior project even after you buy. Renew Home Exteriors, superior products and superior service. Tell them Bo sent you and visit RenewEstimate.com for more on that. Dr. Z.
According to multiple online reports, the Browns have signed tackle Garen Christensen, running back Kenyon Drake, and wide receiver James Prochet, formerly of the Ravens, to the practice squad. They've released running backs Nate McCrary and Jordan Wilkins. In addition, the team has placed tackle Ty Nsekhe biceps on the practice squad injured.
Kenyon Drake's obviously the one you know the most. He's the former Alabama product. Was he in? He's been in Miami. He's bounced around a little bit. Was he in Pittsburgh for a little while?
Kenyon Drake,
Yeah.
Baltimore,
Baltimore. Maybe that's right.
Arizona. He ran for like 130 yards and 4 touchdowns against us as a member of the Arizona Cardinals back in 2019. Drake's the one you know. Prochet has been in the league for a while. I don't know that he's done much. Garen Christensen, a former third-round pick, hasn't started a game in a couple of years at tackle, but a former third-round pick of Washington.
So most recently, Drake with the Ravens the last couple of years, then the Raiders, Cardinals, and started his career in Miami. 44 starts in 102 games.
James Prochet, 25 catches, 278 yards, no touchdowns in his career, all with the Ravens. He was a 6th-round pick of the Ravens in the 2020 draft out of SMU.
There you go.
There it is.
So there is that's what's happening right now. That's all practice squad stuff. The NFL trade deadline is 4:00. We mentioned Montez Sweat traded at the top of the show from Washington to Chicago. We had a trade yesterday. The Giants traded Pro Bowl defensive end Leonard Williams to the Seahawks. The Giants got a 2nd and a 5th in return for that one, as he's a good player. Heads west there. The Steelers roll safety Minkah Fitzpatrick out Thursday night, leaving the door ajar for Kenny Pickett to play. They need him to because Trubisky was
Dreadful.
pretty bad about
Yeah.
It's amazing they hung with Mason Rudolph for all those years and then made the switch to Trubisky the last couple of years. So that's the way that goes there. And
I wouldn't mind. Listen, I'll be like Gibbe. I don't mind who they play. Just go out there and take care of business, Tennessee Titans.
well, if they let Levis live,
Let him live.
let him go.
Levis,
a little bit.
Hopkins. Hopkins all of a sudden was back.
Yeah. Well, Levis can throw it down the field. Like, the one thing he has is a strong arm. I mean, it was legendary in SEC circles, his ability to throw the ball down the field. So he's got the powerful arm. That was always been there. That was something that their offense hasn't had, and now they have it.
Well,
So
especially when you think about having Derrick Henry as your running back, and then you have play action off of that, you now have somebody who can actually take the shots down the field.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he can, I think he's been banged up. I don't know how much he's played, but they've got nothing out of Treylon Burks so far in his young career.
I mean, you see why the GM gets fired. Like, you have A.J. Brown,
yeah.
and you
A.J. Brown has 125 plus in 6 straight games, which I think is a record, which is wild.
He's killing it. Absolutely killing it.
You see his catch, the one-hander?
Yeah.
I mean, he was like,
No, he's playing with such confidence right now. It's absolutely wild. We mentioned the Vikings, Cousins with the torn Achilles. Jaron Hall played last week, but they did make the acquisition of Josh Dobbs official, or not official, but it's been reported here in the last 10 minutes that they'll go in that direction at quarterback.
you
for
think
this week.
you think he comes in and starts right now, right? He's been playing. They'll be able to get him in there, he can get in on a Wednesday practice.
Similar schemes, O'Connell and
Yep.
what Drew would be running in Arizona. I would
Yes.
think that there would be stuff that would be
Very much so.
very similar. You might want to give Hall a look. Maybe give him a look with a week. I don't know.
You give Hall a look when if it doesn't go well with Dobbs and you find yourself on the
They're
outside.
4-4, yeah.
Right.
To
So
your
you
point,
go
like, I mean, I love Josh's. He's awesome, love him, but you don't know what they gave back or what was being asked for Winston or even Jacoby, but like, there were other options out there. I think
yeah.
that would have given you, like, Dobbs to me doesn't change. It doesn't change too much.
No, and
He's more competent than the other guy, but like, you're not scaring anybody in the NFC, and I don't know if he's good enough to get you in.
does anybody like or believe in Jameis as much as you and I? Apparently not.
No, I guess not.
Apparently not, because we
Uno does. Uno's got the
does.
same zest. For
I just think
Jameis.
if you have,
I just think
to
if
your
you had
point,
those-
stat those dudes up. Yes, and
Stat
he will
them
do
up.
that. He may throw 2 pick sixes
I
every
don't
game.
care.
But
I
he'll.
want Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison happy. He will spin it deep to them. Let him live.
Yep.
And that would have been my approach for it.
Yep.
Is to do that. All right, Jake Trotter going to join us coming up at 2:00. The latest on the trade deadline and where we are right now with this season. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Pet Supplies Plus give you a chance to win tickets to home games all season long while providing the best deals for your pet at over 75 stores throughout Ohio. Enter to win at clevelandbrowns.com/Pet Supplies Plus and receive a coupon to use at your local store with your entry. Pet Supplies Plus, proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time to head out on the Twisted Tea hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it Twisted Cleveland. Our buddy ESPN's Jake Trotter joining us there. Jake, thanks so much for taking the time. A slew of minor moves for the Browns at this point, nothing from the trade side of it. Do you think Andrew Berry will be busy between now and 4 o'clock?
Well, I definitely think they're going to canvass to see what's available. It wouldn't surprise me if they didn't make a trade. I think the uncertainty at quarterback has probably contributed to, or I should say maybe limiting what they might be able to do otherwise. But you never know. This team has surprised us in the past, and they've always been very aggressive. And if I think there's an opportunity to do something, they'll take a look at it. But again, I would not be stunned if the moves they just made this afternoon were all that they did today.
If they were to make a move, and you mentioned the uncertainty at quarterback, what positions do you think a move could be made at?
Yeah, there's been a lot of focus at running back. I never believed that was where they would go. And I think the Kenyon Drake signing is more what I anticipated them doing, kind of a depth move at that position. I thought coming into the month of October that receiver would be the position they potentially target. And that's why I say it's hard for them to make that move right now because we don't know exactly when Deshaun Watson is going to be back. And so it's just, I think that complicates, adding talent to that position, especially when you have guys like Cedric Tillman coming up that you would like to probably get some reps here at some point. I think offensive line depth would maybe be an area that they could take a look at. That was probably even before, DeJuan Jones got banged up in that game. They could probably use another body there. But that's kind of where I think they are. I don't see them doing anything significant defensively. I don't think you want to touch that defense the way that it's played. So, yeah, like receivers probably the position to watch. But, if you don't know when your quarterback is coming back, that makes it difficult to make a move there.
Well, that's it, right? I mean, that's kind of where we all are with this thing. And Z and I have talked about this throughout the first couple of days of the week of like that, and Z was emphatic about this. Like the one thing that can solidify all of this is Deshaun Watson playing the way that he played against Tennessee. But that's been a long time now, and that's still hanging over the franchise, right? In the sense of when is he going to play? When he does play, what is he going to look like? Because he hasn't played much and in 2 years, and now we're just kind of sit and wait. Like I suppose we'll wait for Kevin tomorrow to have something on it, but who knows how that could go.
And I think the other part of it, he hasn't played in so long now, and when he has played this year, really hasn't played well, save for a chunk of that Tennessee game. And so I think it's hard to evaluate. Okay, what do we need? Do we need a possession receiver?
Right.
Do we need a big physical downfield threat? Do we need speed? It has been such a mess offensively, really the entire season. I think it's difficult to evaluate the move that you would want to make in this particular situation. So, again, I'm with you. I mean, I think that the best move they could make at the trade deadline is their franchise quarterback playing well.
Yes,
which
exactly.
Outside of 1.5 games, we just haven't seen it. And there's nothing that they can do in this deadline that's going to be able to overcome that if it doesn't happen. So, again, Deshaun Watson playing at a high level is really the only path that this team has to getting to where they hope to get, which was the Super Bowl before the season.
Deshaun Watson is the solution, or Deshaun Watson must be the solution. Either way you want to phrase it, that's the reality
However
of the
you
situation.
want to phrase it, buddy.
That's it. I couldn't agree with you more, Jake. What do you think we see him this week? I've said that if he's able to go physically, I think it's so important to get his feet wet against Arizona in an easier matchup before you go on the road, Baltimore, home, Pittsburgh in 2 division games. So if there's obviously it's going to be up to what he is able to do physically and functionally. But if there's any way, I think it's so important to get him out here this week. Do you think we see him this week?
Oh, I agree with you. But what you don't want is what we saw against Indy, where he plays a quarter against Arizona, comes out, and then he's out for the two most important games of the year at Baltimore and against Pittsburgh. So I have no idea, Nathan, like when he's going to be back. I would say that there's a chance that he could play against Arizona, but I certainly wouldn't bet on it at this point. And I'm not going to bet on anything until I see him out there, stringing together a series of full practices. So, I mean, who knows? I think it'd be really tough, just based on what we've seen from him when he hasn't played in a while, to ask him to go to Baltimore the way that they're playing and win that game. It's not a must-win, but like if you want to win the division, you can't lose that game. You have to win it. And that'd be tough if Deshaun Watson was playing at the peak of his powers. Like if they took 2020 Deshaun Watson up there, that would be a really difficult game. But asking him to step in there, having not played since the Tennessee game, really, week 3, and then, playing at a high level just based on how rusty he is shown to be when he hasn't played in a while. I mean, that's really tough. But, yeah, like in an ideal world, you would love to see him get some confidence, to get some cohesion, some continuity offensively going into the Baltimore game from Arizona. But the guy did not practice at all last week. So who knows if he would be ready, to go on Sunday.
If Deshaun Watson isn't able to go on Sunday, do you stick with P.J. Walker? Do you give DTR an opportunity to maybe get some momentum going? How would you view that quarterback situation for this particular game, given kind of the ups and downs thus far of the P.J. Walker experience?
Well, I said this after the Baltimore game. I would not give up on DTR based on that performance. Now, I don't know that you bring him back this season. I don't know that I've said that, but I think that they put him in a tough spot. I think Deshaun put him in a tough spot, the organization, because everybody, you guys know this, everybody thought Deshaun Watson was playing in the Baltimore game until about 2.5 hours before kickoff, 2 hours before kickoff.
Not even.
Yeah.
Right around
no
there.
one was prepared.
Nobody was, no.
Yeah, no one was prepared.
And it showed.
And it showed. And so I still believe in the talent that DTR showed in the preseason. I still believe that he has the potential to at the least be a very solid backup quarterback. And I think he's got a lot more, let's say, natural ability in a lot of ways than P.J. Walker, even though I think P.J. Walker has given them everything that he could give. Like, you can't ask for anything more. It's like they've exhausted every ounce of magic out of P.J. Walker these last 3 games. And to P.J. Walker's credit, going 2-1, he's given them a chance to hang in there. Like, if they're 2-5 right now, season's over, and Deshaun Watson's not even back. So P.J. Walker deserves a ton of credit. To answer your question, I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is. I mean,
we just can't keep turning the ball over, right? Like, that to me is the one. That's the only thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But who's to say DTR wouldn't either if he got an opportunity? It's something that I might take a look at if you thought Deshaun Watson was going to be out 2 or 3 more games, Like, okay, can we really keep this going with P.J. Walker? What else can we do? Let's give DTR another shot. The guy looked really good in the preseason, and maybe we can better prepare him. But you lead the league with 17 turnovers. Like, you're not going to go very far doing that. So the problem is all 3 of your quarterbacks have turned the ball over this year. I would consider it. I don't know if that's the magic elixir that's going to fix everything.
The damnedest thing is that this team is 4-3.
I know.
Despite
with a
all
chance
of
to
this,
be 5-3.
I mean, it's with a team coming in here on Sunday that is very, very beatable, playing a rookie quarterback who, honestly, you should be able to smother him, Jake. And so, like, you think about how good the defense has been. I mean, it's not even just this quarterback stuff. I mean, no Nick Chubb, Conklin, all of these things that have happened this season, and somehow this thing's 4-3. And it's just from your perspective, it's been a tough cover, right? Because the results are better. If I would have told you before the year that this is what was going to happen, and I would have said, oh, yeah, through 7 weeks, they're going to be 7 games, they're going to be 4-3, you would have said I was nuts. No chance, right?
And very easily could be 5-2. I think the issue, and why. You know, if I'd asked y'all before the year, would you take 4-3? I don't know if you would take 4-3, but you would be like, all right, we're still in it at 4-3, right?
You'd take
Yeah.
5-3, though. I think we would have taken that.
I'd take 4. Knowing what I know now, I'd take 4-3.
Well, for sure. But I'm saying, I think
with
5-3
nothing?
would have even been okay under normal circumstances.
Yes, for sure. 5-3 through the first 8 would have been takeable with everybody healthy.
I think so. But the problem is that I think the way that they've gotten here is not really sustainable.
Correct.
I mean, the Browns are last in the NFL in like by any measure in terms of quarterback performance. And
Yes.
it's just not sustainable in the AFC. And now you kind of look around at the landscape and yeah, you're 4-3, you're in it. If you go to Baltimore and win, you could win the division, first division title since 1989. That would be on the table. But you look around and, Cincinnati, they're back. I think we all agree.
Yep.
They're on the way. And so, if you don't win in Baltimore, you're really going to have to fight to get into the playoffs, that 6-7 spot, just based on the landscape right now. So, and it's going to be really tough to get there if something dramatically doesn't turn around at the quarterback position because the defense is going to give you a chance. But at the end of the day, if we're playing every game to the last drive, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, right? You're going to go probably 500 in those games. And that's kind of what we've seen so far. So, a lot to like about this team. Love the way that they fought after getting down 14-0 in that environment. I just think at the end of the day, you're just going to have something happen at quarterback for this team to be a legit contender.
Jake, you're the best, man. Thanks for your time, buddy. Greatly appreciate you.
Okay, guys. Happy Halloween. Take care.
You too, pal. Jake Trotter of ESPN joining us versus the Twisted Tea Hotline, brought to you by Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it twisted, Cleveland. Coming up next, we go one thought around the league, a little higher, lower as well. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Browns fans, visit your local Tide Cleaners during the month of October for a chance to win tickets to an upcoming Browns home game. You'll automatically be entered to win with any purchase. Time for one thought around the league in Week 8. Hello, Gibby.
Hi, boys.
How you doing, buddy?
Meetings.
How have they gone? Thank you for getting us a
these chairs
little chair upgrade.
They're flat at least,
Yeah.
so you're headed in the right direction.
We're on the yeah.
Well, look at Uno on Gibby Cam.
Uno.
Hey.
Uno, who keeps talking every time my mic's on today. I'm like,
Let's
well,
go, Uno.
Stop
Uno.
talking.
Run wild, run amok. By the way, quick trade. Vikings trading guard Ezra Cleveland to the Jaguars. Sources tell Tom Pelissero and Rap Sheet. 2020 second-round pick heads to Jacksonville, where he reunites with offensive line coach Phil Rauscher, who was with Cleveland in Minnesota.
There you go. Will we
Boy,
have
the Vikings really.
They got a lot going on.
Really
Will
trying.
we have a big deal today other than Sweat?
No.
I mean, it feels to me
We
like
had Williams yesterday,
Chase
Sweat
Young.
today. Would they get rid of them both?
I don't know. There are rumors that I would imagine are more unfounded than real, but there are rumors out there that the Browns are not only calling the
Bless you.
Commanders about getting Jacoby, they're
But
trying to
also-
put together a Jacoby Terry McLaurin combo.
Why not put Chase Young in that too?
Why don't you just give them Ira Newble, Damon Jones, and a few other guys on the back of the Cavs bench
Ira
from
Newble.
2007?
Ira Newble.
That was a great drop on Ira Newble. That was like that ridiculous Harden deal that NBA Twitter. I get so annoyed by NBA Twitter. They act like it's the biggest deal ever. Like it literally changes nothing. Like
No.
nothing. But I was looking at the names on the roster. Like how many times has Bob Covington and Nick Batum been
Isn't
the
that the guy
list
that lives
on it?
next door to me?
Yeah, like those guys are always in, like they've been in 1,000 trades. Those guys. Nick Batum, part of a package.
By the
Oh,
way-
fantastic.
When we had Ira Newble starting for us, I knew we were not in a serious
That's when it was.
basketball.
But
That
like
is what-
that was NBA Twitter like at the NBA trade deadline. Cavs got to go all in, but they can get like one of the top 5 players in the league for Ira Newble, Damon Jones, a
Right.
bag of basketballs, and something else.
It's not how this league works, man.
No,
No.
let's manage expectations here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
One
we will.
thought from Sunday's games in
Yep.
the National Football League. We'll kick things off. Carolina 15, Texans 13. Panthers first win of the year, Bo Bishop.
Carolina's good at home. They're better at home. They almost got New Orleans at home. They got Houston. They did get Houston at home. They're more competitive at home. Good for them. I mean, you get a drive late, kick a field goal. The kid who hit the field goal had to do it 3 times. Is the way it ended up working. He had to
Yeah.
kick it 3 times. Pinheiro, I think.
Yep.
He had to kick it 3 times.
And he was hoisted like he had made a
And it ended
bomb.
up being like a
It
20-yarder.
was a 20-yard field goal. I want CJ. I want CJ Stroud to get a weapon. This was a game that I actually watched a little bit. I had to pick up and play CJ Stroud in a couple of leagues. So while we were waiting for our kickoff at 4, which is one of the benefits to me of the 4 o'clock kickoff when it's actually 1 o'clock and you're on the West Coast, you get those 10 o'clock games. Wake up football. There's a
Waking
beauty.
up football wins.
There's a beauty to that. So I watched a lot of this. He just doesn't have anybody that's dynamic. You know, I don't understand. John Mechie was somebody that was pretty highly thought of coming out of Alabama. It's their second-round pick a year ago. I realize, obviously, he didn't play the first season with cancer. He's back now, but he seems to be a non-factor. And they've given up their assets, right? So they're not going to be able to get him a big-time receiver unless they do it via free agency.
Yep.
And I think that's what's missing from that team.
Up next, how about them Cowboys? 43, Rams 20. Segura, one thought.
Dominant, beating. Their defense is relentless. Dak looked great. And I love CeeDee Lamb getting involved. 14 targets, 12 catches, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns.
It's amazing what happens when they actually get him involved. What that team looks like
And that's
offensively.
why don't they? I feel like he's got to be at least 10 to 12 targets every single game.
For sure,
Treat him like
yeah.
Justin Jefferson. I think CeeDee Lamb is immensely talented.
Bishop.
Kind of a push your chips in Rams performance. Like got down early and Stafford got dinged, and then they were just kind of like, all right, we'll play next week. That was really disheartening performance out of them. I don't know what week to week what you're going to get with them.
The
I don't
first 4 weeks, they look like, okay, they're going
Yeah.
to be a handful every week. I don't know how good they are, but they're going to be a handful.
Two good targets. I mean,
now.
the Kyron Williams thing hurts him big. Like when he went down, like it's a big drop from him to,
Henderson and
patching it
Freeman.
together. Yeah. So, but yeah,
Up next, from the NFC Norris division, the Vikings 24, the gutless Packers 10 at Bishop.
We've talked about Cousins a lot, so I'll do the Packers side of this. They're just bad. They're really bad. Jordan Love's really bad. It's amazing to me that they had him in the building and thought that he would be more than what he is. And I understand there were some drops in the game from the receivers,
There were
but like
8.
Yeah, something like that. There were
6 to 8.
several. I think it was 6. But yeah, either way, irregardless. They're just not a very good football team at all. And when we saw this one, I just thought, I don't understand how this is a pick 'em. It makes no sense. And it didn't, and it doesn't.
Zagura?
Agreed. What's weird about the Jordan Love situation is Kurt Warner, Orlovsky have gone out of their way to say he's actually playing really well. And they have no agenda to do so.
It's a steady diet of like, this is the stat line. 24 of 42 for 186, a touchdown and an interception, and then he runs for a touchdown. That's what it is almost every week. It's that type of a stat line.
I don't understand how Aaron
They have nothing
Jones
down the
and
field.
Dillon have completely disappeared
For sure.
from their offense. I don't know what it is. They are not good, and they're not a fun football team to watch at all.
No.
Speaking of not a great game to watch, New Orleans 38, Colts 27. Colts now have lost 3 in a row. Zagura, one thought from you.
Good answer from the Saints, who kind of got the best of Derek Carr, hit some balls down the field. And he's capable of that. He's capable of popping off for 310 and 2 touchdowns. Taysom Hill, they're getting him involved as a runner. He had 9 for 63 and 2 touchdowns. I thought it was a pretty good performance. Chris Olave, I don't know if he needs a change of scenery. He's not going to get one, but they don't get him the ball. And then the Colts had it going running the ball. They ran it 24 times for 164 yards. Taylor averaged 7.9. Moss averaged 6.
Yeah.
And then they just kept throwing.
It was wild. Like, I mean, you really could just give those guys over and over again. Like, Taylor had, I want to say in the first half, he had like 60 yards. He ended up with 90-some.
Yeah.
He was getting whatever he wanted.
I thought he was going to run for about $150.
Same. Me too. Yeah.
Up next from the AFC East, Dolphins 31, Patriots come back to earth 17. Miami 6-2 on the year. The Patriots now 2-6. Bishop, one thought.
I understand that the criticism of Miami is they haven't beaten anybody good, but they bury people who are bad.
Yes.
And I like that. I like burying bad teams, and they looked gorgeous in those throwbacks. Just pristine. Ramsey in that thing, good Lord. Wear those all the time. They're beautiful.
Yeah, welcome back, Ramsey. He got a pick. Waddle was getting the ball. Yeah. Tyreek Hill. Mostert. My big takeaway was Mostert's touchdown celebration of the race walking elite. I fancy myself as a good comedic race walker, and I loved seeing that celebration. I thought that was awesome.
I think one interesting thing to watch here with Miami as we continue to go through this season is how well they play away from home. They're really, really good at home.
Yeah.
On the road, they look like a little bit of a different team.
They've lost to Buffalo and Philly. So
take that for what it is. But they haven't looked great in their
it's valid.
road.
Yeah, in ill climate, you wonder, yeah.
Up next, then again, if they just keep winning, everybody will come to them. South
Yeah.
Beach in January sounds beautiful.
It does.
The Battle of New York, they should have just made this a tie, and no one should have gotten a win, but the Jets somehow escaped with one. 13-10 in overtime. Jets now 4-3 on the season. Zagura, one thought.
Good team.
Yeah, very good defense. This was
This is an impossible loss if you're the Giants. It's impossible to lose this.
But it's also would have been an impossible win to
Right,
win it.
that you have the ball. It's under a minute.
No, I get all of that, but I'm saying if I were to tell you they had
a field goal that they miss, like if he just runs it, like just picks up it's 4th and 1. I want to say. I was watching it. It was second screen. It's a 4th and 1.
Graham Gano.
And they missed the field goal. And so it's 10-7, and Wilson goes 24 seconds, like boom, boom, boom.
Right.
Field goal tie. Like, what are we doing?
But they should have won a game in which they had 0 first downs via the pass, in which they had -9 net yards passing, a game in which they went 2 for 19 on third down and averaged 2.8 yards per play.
Crazy.
They were how do they lose? How could they possibly have won? They averaged -0.5 yard per pass attempt. That is like this. I don't even understand how you could
came in,
but how could you even be in the position to win a game like that?
It's bad ball. That's what I was saying at the start of the show.
That's
some
bad ball.
out there,
That's
brother.
bad ball.
Patriots play bad ball. The New York teams play bad ball.
Yeah. The Jacksonville Jaguars, meanwhile, have now won 5 in a row. That's right, 5. They're 6-2. They go into Pukerland, take Renegade, and tell them to stick it.
Oh, they've
Jags,
stolen their
20,
towels.
Squealers,
And they're all
10.
upset about it. Yeah.
Yeah, Wingard, right? The linebacker safety.
Bishop, one thought.
I thought this was a very impressive win from Jacksonville from the standpoint of they weren't great. Lords threw red zone interception, one inside the 5 that's just impossible to throw. They win by 2 scores. They are a very good team. They are someone to be concerned with and reckoned with in the AFC. And I think that there's another, unlike some of the AFC teams, I think there's another gear for them even. I think they have a way to even get better. That's the type of game Pittsburgh wins. I'm pretty sure Pittsburgh is 30th in the NFL in offense and 30th in the NFL in defense.
They can't stop the pass at all.
So they are, the idea that team's 4-3, crazy.
By the way, this was a 20-10 game. The Steelers just have some kind of magic that keeps them in these games. So here, this is how the
Tomlin's a sorcerer.
This is how the game went. 3 and out for the Steelers, field goal for the Jags. 3 and out for the Steelers, field goal for the Jags. 3 and out for the Steelers. Jags get it down to the Pittsburgh 18 fumble. 3 and out for the Steelers. So that's 4 straight. They go down, and he throws the pick that you're talking about inside the 5.
right inside
So
the 5,
it could have been 20-0 at this point before the Steelers had picked up a first down. Steelers get a field goal. Jags answer with a field goal. Steelers miss a field goal at the end of the half. Third quarter, opening possession for the Jags. They get it down inside the Pittsburgh 30. They fumble again. Tank Bigsby fumbles out of nowhere. Then they hold him to a 3 and out. They held him to a 5 play and out. They give a touchdown. They give up a touchdown. I mean, they should have won this game by a bazillion and did not. So it's wild. The Jags are good, but that was sloppy play. That could have been
not good.
a beating.
Yeah, it should have been.
Kenny Pickett, by the way, about 20 minutes ago, met with the media and said, I'm playing. So there's that. He'll play on Thursday
Jump
night.
ball to George Pickens, and Pickens will catch off 6 people's heads, and they'll beat Tennessee. That's how that goes.
Yeah, that's exactly how it goes. Speaking of the Tennessee Titans 28, gutless Falcons 23. Falcons fall to 4-4. Tennessee 3-4 in the National Football League. Zagura, one thought.
Will Levis, where have you been? Why weren't you playing before? Yeah. We've been saying this for years. It's time to move on from Tannehill. I thought that he played well, and can't say I'm sad to see smug Arthur Smith take an L right here. Oh, by the way, did you notice that they looked a little bit better throwing the ball with Heineke out there?
Right. Yeah.
Maybe we should have done this from the get-go.
It's like the battle of the stubborn coaches.
Oh, my
Vrabel
goodness.
with Tannehill and then Arthur Smith with Ritter. It's okay to just move on.
Just move on. Also, shout out, Gibbe. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Shout out to a former Brown who led the Falcons in receiving in this game. 3 catches for 75 yards. Any guesses, Gibbe?
A former Brown.
Former Brown.
Special teams guy.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Uno.
What you got?
Kadarius Hodge.
Uno. Taking over. Taking the mic.
Took the mic.
Dropping the factual hammer. What a moment. What a moment
so
in CBD
excited.
history.
It's a moment we'll never forget.
Uno, had
so good.
you had seen that, or you just knew that it had to be Kadarius Hodge?
I saw it when I looked at the box score that it was Hodge.
It's still a win, Uno.
Good job.
We don't have to tell him how the sausage is
The
made.
fact that I knew it was a special teamer, former Brown. I'll go with that.
Were you going to get to Kadarius Hodge?
I didn't have the name off the top of my head.
Okay. All right.
I'm like special teams guy. Started week 1 of the Freddie Kitchens era
Yeah, I like it.
at wide receiver. Up next to the NFC East, the Eagles. Probably happy they don't have to see the Commies anytime soon. 3 straight high-scoring affairs between these two teams. Eagles come out on top, 38-31. They're 7-1. Washington clearly in fire sale mode today, now 3-5.
Yeah, Philly's the best team in football, but we haven't even seen their best yet. But I'll say this: I don't know if that they have the highest ceiling. They have the lowest floor in the NFL, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
They are always going to be in it. They will beat 90% of the teams they play because of their talent.
Segura.
Sam Howell's up and down, good Sam, bad Sam, is reminiscent of some other quarterbacks in this league, to be sure. But he can sling it at times. They finally got Dotson going. Remember last week where they get him going. He had 8 for 108. Jamison Crowder, 7 for 95 and a touchdown. McLaurin, 5 for 63 and a touchdown. This was a bit of a shootout. I think the big takeaway, though, right now is It's hard to argue right now against Tyreek Hill or even, when he's healthy, Justin Jefferson. But A.J. Brown might be the best receiver in the NFL.
Did you
Full
see
stop.
the
He's
numbers?
the most consistently productive.
The last
every night, every
4
week.
weeks or something. Peter King had it yesterday. He has a better stretch than Jerry Rice.
Yes, he goes 131, 175 and 2, 127, 131, 137 and 1, 130 and 2. He's got 125 plus in 6 straight games, which I don't think that's been done before.
Yeah.
He's outrageous. Do you know what his? So they played. The Eagles are 7-1, 8 games. He already has 60 for 939 and 5.
Would you rather have him or Tyreek Hill right now?
I'd A.J. Brown. I just think he does he is everything. Tyreek is. They're both great, but I think A.J. Brown is the best receiver in football.
Bishop?
I don't know. The Tyreek Hill he's just so damn explosive.
It kind of depends who my compliment
I was
to
going
him
to say,
is.
and it depends on my quarterback is, like what I want to go about my business.
I think A.J. Brown can do anything. You want to throw it down the field to him, he's going to moss people.
Yeah.
You want to throw him
I
short,
think
he can do everything.
Tyreek, you can use him like on the Jets. You could use him on all of it. It's ridiculous that they're both playing it just to. He's already got 1,000 yards. Tyreek does. AJ's got to be right there too.
A.J.'s 939.
Yeah, like those two are just ridiculous.
Yeah, Tyreek's got 1,014. Tyreek season 215 and 2, 40 and 1, 157 and 1, 58. That was his only really down game. 181 and 1, 163 and 1, 88 and 1, 112 and 1.
Wouldn't that be fun? Imagine like every Sunday you went to the ball yard and you got to watch all that.
Oh my God, yes. Me and S have A.J. Brown in fantasy. That's been a real treat.
Oh, there you go.
Up next, Ratbirds 31, Cardinals 24.
This is a gross backdoor cover.
Not
Very
even
gross.
remotely
It's-
close to.
This was not even
Indicating
close
the
to
game.
this. So this
Yeah.
score was it was 21. It was 31-14
Let's see.
or 31-15. It might have been 31-15.
It was 31-15.
All right, Arizona
with
scores with like 2 minutes.
2 minutes and 51 seconds.
All right, 2:51. It's 31-15. All right, the number's 8.5. Arizona scores to make it 31-20. They go for the 2-point conversion. They don't get it. They then kick the onside kick. The Ravens don't even really try to recover it. Like it's a really nice onside kick, but there's really only one Raven to get it. It's kind of like what happened to us against the Jets.
Yeah.
Except they still won. We didn't. But it's like, can someone please catch the football? Anybody, right? So then they do. Then they go down, and you're thinking to yourself, well, what do you do here? 31-20, 8.5, right? That's what continue to be what we pay attention to. And they go and kick the field goal because you got to get points as soon as possible. But they don't even do that right. They let 20 seconds run off the clock before kicking the field goal because they couldn't decide what play to run. It was a disaster, and somehow they cover. It was gross. Baltimore's really good, too.
Broncos somehow go into Kansas City and win. 24-9, the final score. Actually, it was in Denver. I take that back. Sorry.
Mahomes had the
That was
flu.
when we were in the air. I
Yeah,
wasn't. paying
Mahomes
attention.
was sick for the game. He looked it, and Kansas City kind of just pushed in. Like it started going not their way, and they just pushed in. Good for Sean Payton, though, for keeping the buy-in in Denver. They're still bought in.
They are. Russell Wilson now in his last 5 games,
Not too shabby.
10 touchdowns, 2 picks in the last 5 games. Now, he's not throwing for a lot of yards. By the way, how about this one? Javonte Williams finally getting the ball a little bit, get his first touchdown of the year. We'd love to see that. And I think the Chiefs just folded it up in El Foldo. Said, we're fine. We're going to make playoffs. El Foldo.
49ers just agreed to a deal for Chase Young,
What?
according to Jay Glazer.
What?
When your quarterback's making $800,000.
That's what you can do. But let me
So
tell you
they'll have
something.
Bosa and Chase Young.
That's good. They needed somebody. They
pretty good.
needed that other. They tried with Randy Gregory. That's incredible.
Which gets us to Bengals 31, 49ers 17.
Yeah,
Segura.
go ahead.
You can't play the Steve Wilkes, according to my dad. Nate, you can't play that solid defense. We're getting no pass rush. Well, you're going to get
Christmas
a pass rush.
come early,
There it
Pedro.
is. Yes. My dad is going to be quite pleased with that.
Rappaport's saying likely a mid-round pick in 24 is all it took.
Well, you got to pay him, of course.
I would assume.
So that's part of it. The other thing in this one, obviously, Cincinnati, very good. Burrow, 19 straight at one point, finished
Yeah.
28 of 32.
Guess who's back?
He's back, yeah.
He's back.
So
they're
much
back.
so, Jamar Chase, after his touchdown in the end zone, did a backflip. So they are sowing their oats in Cincinnati.
Well,
So-
everybody except for T. Higgins. Is T. Higgins?
Oh, he had 85. He was 6 for 85, I think.
He had five for 69. It's not bad. That's his best
Yeah.
of the season.
Yeah, it's been
Other than
quiet.
Baltimore, he had 8 for 89 and 2. 0, 8 for 89 and 2, 2 for 21, 2 for 19, 2 for 20, 5 for 69.
Banged up for a lot of that.
I know.
But yeah. But they're cruising. That they're going to be cruising now. They're going to be a team you're going to have to deal with. All right, there's things starting to heat up on the NFL trade deadline side of things. We'll keep you updated on that coming up next. Just to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. OBM, preferred copiers and provider of document services for the Cleveland Browns. You can tackle any size office. Call 216-485-2000 or visit ohiobusinessmachines.com. If you're just joining, former Buckeye All-American and Heisman finalist Chase Young and current or former Washington Commies traded to the 49ers for now what is reported to be a third. So the Niners will have Bosa and Young.
And Javon Hargrave and Eric Armstead.
Imagine
That's a pretty good line.
Telling, like, you're in 2019 that within the next 5 years, Nick Bosa and Chase Young are going to be on the same team.
It's wild.
That's pretty wild.
That is a loaded line. I'll say it again. Bosa and Chase Young at the edges, Hargrave and Armstead in the middle.
That's crazy.
They're going to be ferocious.
They are.
A week too late, by the way. Could have done it against the
Would have been nice against
the Bengals.
Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Could have helped us out, Pedro.
Yes.
Higher or lower?
Let's do it, Gibby.
Presented by Keep It Fun Ohio from the Ohio Lottery, offering easy ways to keep gambling fun. Our good friend Pete Prisco at CBSSports.com.
Ya boy.
First up, the Browns after their loss. He drops them 4 spots to number 13. The two teams in front, the 49ers at number 11, the Jets at number 12. Behind, the Chargers at 14, the Saints at 15. Zagura, higher, lower, just right for your Cleveland Browns.
I mean, you said the Jets are at 12?
Yes.
Then we are better than the Jets. I don't care under any iteration. They almost lost a game. In fact,
Yeah.
should have lost a game to a team that didn't throw for a yard,
We did lose to a team that had negative yards in the fourth quarter.
which hadn't happened in thousands of games. Fair.
I
think we're better than
What do we
them.
do with the Chargers here? How do you make sense of it?
I think they beat the Jets too.
Yeah, I think they'd be favored over both us and the Jets. Right?
If us today, us with no
As we stand,
Yeah.
as is currently constructed with
That's
PJ
fine.
Walker at quarterback. I think
Yep.
I think we would be. So
Next,
Higher or lower?
number 1, the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 2 on this list is where I'm going to start, just because I'm changing it around.
let's go.
The Baltimore Ravens are number 2 on Pete Prisco's list. He has the Jags 3 and the Cowboys 4, FYI. Bishop, higher, lower, or just right for the Ratbirds?
Do I think the Baltimore Ravens are the second best team in football? No, I do not. But I do like that he at least is not taking a poll mentality and he's saying, what are they right now? Right now, they're pretty good. So I don't have a huge beef with it. The teams that also you could put in here would be Detroit, Jacksonville.
They smoked Detroit.
They did, yeah. Yeah. Be Detroit, Jacksonville, who else? Miami. See, Kansas City just got drilled.
Yeah.
Like at Denver. So I can't have Kansas City too. So you got to have the games have to matter a little. So I guess I don't have too much of a problem about it.
Zero?
I think it's probably fair. I mean, could you put the Dolphins there?
Yeah.
Maybe. I think it's a fair spot. They've in the last 2 weeks they obviously handled Arizona like they should have, and then they smoked the Lions. Like that was as much of a beating of a team as you could have, and so I think I'm fine with the Ravens being there. It's going to be incumbent upon the Browns to go and handle their business and let themselves climb up the old power poll rankings.
Next,
Higher or lower?
I mentioned the Jags are 3, the Cowboys are 4. Miami is number 5. Zagura, higher, lower, or just right? By the way, the Chiefs are 6, the Bills are 7.
I like the Jags. I think the Dolphins right now are still better than the Jags.
Same. I would move Miami up. I'd have Miami third.
I'd have Miami third too.
Next.
Higher or lower?
All right, as I mentioned, the Chiefs are 6, the Bills 7, the Bengals are number 8. Zagura, higher, lower, or just right for the Bengals?
I think
who's
it's
9-10?
9 Lions, 10 Seahawks, 11 Niners.
So he didn't like the Lions, but Leo's much at all. He's got them all
No,
down at 9. I have him higher than that.
I have them higher than that as well. I think that's probably fair for the Bengals. I think they're going to get a chance, against Buffalo on Sunday night to say definitively we're back, and then all of a sudden I'd have no problem putting them at like number 2. If they go out and
if they handle business at home against Buffalo
in a good-looking, convincing fashion, I'd put them at number 2.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got the Lions too low. The Bengals, it's a situation where you saw it. They were really good against the San Francisco 49ers. But you need to I want to see it backed up. Give one. I mean, I don't want to because they're in our division, but just in general, if you're judging them, you want to see them do it one more time. That's a pretty good tweet from Stuart Mandel, by the way, of The Athletic. Missed it by 2 days, and it's Joe Burrow in the spring game being tackled by Chase Young at Ohio State.
Yeah, would have been. I
Would've
wish
been nice
we didn't
2
miss
days
it. I
ago.
wish we didn't miss it.
Yeah.
Next.
Higher or lower?
All right, I'm going all the way to the bottom here.
Let's go.
The Squealers are number 16, but whatever. Who cares? They're probably properly marked there.
They're going to go 9-8 with this operation.
100%.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin never had a losing record. Probably going to be the case again.
Yep.
He's got the Panthers at 32. I'm not sure the Panthers are the worst team in the NFL. He's got the Packers at 29, the Giants at 30, and the Arizona Cardinals at 31 in front of him.
As they stand right now, Joe Pesci from Goodfellas is starting for the Giants.
Danny Dimes got cleared.
Oh, is
so
he
I think,
back?
I think he will
Okay.
be back this week.
Okay. So if he's back, then okay.
If you're talking for a 1 week game, for like if this is the ranking for this particular week and Clayton Tune is starting for the Cardinals, they're the worst team in the NFL.
Fine. Yeah. It's been a lot. They got a lot of currency off of being plucky in week 1. They've been brutal for a month.
And beating the Cowboys. That was like
That was it, yeah.
And then beatings.
Yes, beat down.
I mean, they're
I watched that whole Seahawks game and prep for the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
They were abysmal.
Yeah.
all right. That's higher or lower for
Better
week
or worse.
you
These
go.
chairs,
Week 8, week 9,
better.
week 9.
Better
better
than those.
This
Those
is like
chairs. It's a
when
chair graveyard.
It's like when you fly over Tucson and they've got the mothball fleet there. It's like you got these mothball chairs.
Mothballs.
Yeah.
So much more to come. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Car, truck, or motorcycle accident caused you injury, call the injury lawyers at 1-800-ELK Ohio for a free case review. Elk & Elk's a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Favorite Hollywood Halloween costume as a kid was?
Maverick.
Nice. Jumpsuit?
For sure. Yeah, I had a full flight suit, the real deal. It was legit.
Bootsy had that last year, I think, and that was a
Yeah, it's
very
a good
good
one.
job out of him. How about you, Gibby? Favorite Halloween?
I don't have one that stands out. I don't have one that I was. The one I can remember is I went to a costume mandatory party in college.
Yeah.
Did not have a costume.
Yep.
Cut open a bag of kitty litter, emptied it, put the bag on me, cut a hole in it, and I went as blank kitty.
Nice. Of course you did.
You
I
drink
always
enough
was.
Natty Light. It all
It
smells good.
all
at the end of the day.
works. Yeah. I always wanted one of the bought costumes, but of course we couldn't have that. We always had to make them.
Yeah.
So it was basically a rotation between Dracula and Zorro. Like I had one black cape. It was just rotated those things.
1 minute.
Going forward. So enjoy your Halloween. Be safe out there, kids.
If you're driving around tonight, remember they're not
those
looking
kids.
for you.
No, they're chasing candy that's
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
That all they have to do is say a
It's
word
a
and they get
2-hour
it.
window, kids.
Yeah. Let them live out there.
Reese's, Butterfinger, Snickers. Those are the elites to me.
I go for the bite-sized Snickers. Those go in the
30.
freezer.
Oh, yeah.
Those go right in there. And then big Reese's Pieces guy.
Pieces. Yeah.
Pieces.
The
I
Pieces.
really like the Reese's Pieces. That's where it's at.
Same.
That's where it's
Same.
at.
Come
I like
to
those guys.
People stop by my house. They'll get some Reese's
Get some
Pieces.
Reese's Pieces.
Oh,
Yeah, we
you
were
better
handing
believe
those. We did that too. Handed it out on
Better
Sunday.
believe it.
Happy Halloween, everybody. We're back tomorrow. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.